You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another Dangerous Liberty Podcast. I am your host, everyone's favorite ginger, Gary Melton. And of course, we got Summer. What's happening?
I'm the favorite ginger.
Oh, that's true. You are the favorite ginger. And
of
course,
I can only see half the screen, but we'll survive.
You only need half the screen. Don't worry about that little guy. And then we got the man, the myth, the legend, Chuck Cooley was from Zeiss. Thanks for coming, Chuck.
Thanks for having me, man.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. I actually had a whole kind of agenda, and I remember Chuck was coming on here, so we'll avoid politics. But we still got a lot of cool things to talk about, everything from optics to ELR. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I actually ran into Chuck serendipitously at a extreme long range match. Yeah, you know what I called you. You know what you are.
Bless you.
At an extreme long range match, which was really cool, folks. I had never seen an extreme long range match. And man, it was a lot of fun. It was very different than I think what most people are used to. The guns out there are pretty insane. The setups are pretty insane. Everything's custom.
Yeah.
It's really unique. Day one, we did
I should have brought
the
mine.
light.
I got it in the truck. I should have brought mine and put it on the table.
Yeah. We did the light, which is like 375 or 338 Lapua and under. And then day two, we did heavy, shooting out to, I think, 21 or 2,200 yards.
What is considered heavy?
So like 375 shy, 416, 50. There was a bunch of different guns out there, 33XC, some of these crazy calibers I'd never even heard before.
Yeah,
so I got a whole education on it. And it's good to be exposed to something different, see something different.
I'm assuming people are loading those and not buying that off the shelf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Except for, I guess, the 416 Barrett. There was a guy there. I think he plans on loading, but he had just gotten in. I guess it's like one of the first 416 Barretts where he was able to. He said he got the first one that was commercially available. I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently he had loaded ammo. So it was factory ammo from Barrett. So that was pretty cool to see. But it's a whole different ball game. And then the way that it's shot, usually during each heat, you're shooting 3 different targets. You got 5 rounds per target, and you got 7 minutes. And that sounds like a lot of time. It's not. Especially the way where we were shooting, like we were stacking up blocks of wood underneath the buttstock and moving the target. You had to remove the blocks of wood. You run out of time really quick, and it was a lot of fun. The people out there were just amazing, very welcoming. The hospitality was awesome, and it was just a lot of fun. We were up there again at Spear Mountain. So what were you shooting?
I shot a 300 Norma Improved.
Nice.
Custom gun made by a buddy of mine out in Western Pennsylvania. A guy named Dustin. He owns Sportsman Outfitters out there.
Nice.
He's an ELR guy, knows an awful lot about building guns, knows an awful lot about developing rounds and things like that. He builds custom guns on a routine and regular basis, from the hunting world all the way out to the competition world. So I had run into him because I had never shot a match before either. And I got asked if I would do it. And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds like fun. I'd like to shoot a mile. So I was asking him about rebarreling a gun, and he was like, look, I'll just let you borrow one of mine. And it was an amazing experience. And apparently where we were, what do they call it? The shoot the bear, or poke the bear, they call that. And that range apparently is, if it's not the most difficult, it's one of the most difficult ranges to play this game.
Sure. I believe that.
Yeah, our targets were anywhere from 14 to 21 degrees downhill.
Yeah.
That was very specific.
Over the spine of a mountain. Like we're halfway down a ridge, shooting into a valley. There's a spine of a ridge coming down. That was half of it was lit by the sun, half of it was in the shade. There was crosswinds, swirl winds, updrafts, downdrafts. And to see the level of what those people are able to call for wind adjustments, 1,500 to 2,000 yards, insane. It was really cool.
The other thing, and I actually did some interviews out there and shot some video out there, and that's going to be coming soon. But the other thing that was really cool too is it's basically 2 families were running the match.
Yeah.
And both their daughters were shooting it. One of the daughters, she was 12. She was last year's queen or king. This year's king of the 1 mile. She was 12 years old.
What's
And-
king of 2 mile?
No, king of the 1 mile.
King of 1 mile. Yep.
There is the king of the 2 mile. She was king of the 1 mile. And she's down there shooting 33 XC, which is a ginormous round, folks.
Big gun.
I mean, she's soaking wet 90 pounds. If
Maybe.
that. So anybody out there complaining about recoil, you go see these little girls shooting. And the other guy that was the match director, his daughter was 16. And again, barely 100 pounds. She was shooting 33 XC as well. And they were hammering it.
Yeah.
I know, again, those kids like place in the top like 10 every single time. So anyways, it was a lot of fun. A big shout out and thank you to Hunter Brewer for inviting me to come out to that. He let me use his gun, let me use his ammo that he loaded. It was just a lot of fun. Both guns. So first day I shot a 338 Lapua. Second day I shot a 375 Chi-Tech for one heat. And then the second one, I went back to the 375 Chi-Tech. So definitely something I'm going to explore. I think I'm gonna have to get me a Norma built and actually go shoot my own gun out there. Apparently they hold that match at Spear Mountain, which we're going to be out there quite a bit.
Black Bear.
Huh?
Or just for reference, people would know it as Black Bear Shooting Complex.
Yeah,
Yes.
they call it a black bear shooting.
The Black Bear Shooting Complex. But yeah, so they hold that match in the spring and in the fall. So I think it's like March or April.
Yep.
Whatever St. Patty's Day weekend is when it's going to be. So if you guys are interested in doing that, let me know. We'll all go up there together. Great group of folks, just super nice. And just like every shooting community that I've ever went, you go to these matches. I don't care if you're talking about PRS or the Sniper Cup that we just did. Everybody is there to be friendly, welcoming, giving you advice, at least up to the point that you start being competition. Then you might not get as much friendly advice for sure.
What I found it was my first time there, and there was probably a dozen people that raised their hands for first timers.
Yeah.
Right. There was 49 or 50 competitors. And as I'm told, that's a large field. Right. A lot of times there's 20, 30, 40 competitors, but 50 people at this match is a big match. And to your point, they could not have been more gracious and more helpful. What do you need? Do you need a bag? Do you need wood? Do you understand where your targets are? Do you understand the course of fire? Just absolutely everybody there to ensure that you have a good experience. Whether or not you hit steel that was one of the things I noticed. Nobody asked what you shot.
Yeah.
It was almost like an afterthought. Nobody really cared.
They're there to test themselves, and the only competition really is themselves. And
Yeah,
that
can
was,
you make a shot?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you call a number? Can you make a shot?
Yep.
Can you hit it? And it was a really great experience. It's a long day. You're on the mountain before light.
Yep.
We were up there.
You're shooting for a total of 14 minutes between the two.
Yeah.
And you're up there for it's probably about 8 hours.
Yeah. The gates opened at 6.
Yep.
And
we were pretty much done about 2.
Yeah. 2:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. We started packing everything up.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a longer day, but yeah, you shoot 15 rounds for your first 3 targets and then take a break and then you shoot your next 3.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah. A lot of fun.
The other thing that I thought was interesting, unlike a lot of the other, whether it's PRS or NRL or whatever else, one thing that I thought was really cool about it was like, it's not commercialized.
Yeah.
Almost these aren't big sponsored events. Maybe King of the 2 mile and 1 mile, maybe those larger matches are, but this one was like, they handed out trophies at the end they're nice, cool little trophies, but they're not the trophies.
Dude, they had a little bear on
Had a little
them.
bear on
They
them,
were
yeah.
cute.
They were cute.
Are you sad you didn't get one?
I'm sad. I was pissed I didn't get one.
I think you were more pissed you didn't get a chip.
I am, because I earned the chip.
Apparently you didn't.
Oh,
Just for reference,
I don't
the
know.
chip is the 1 mile club.
Yeah, the chip. I had never shot over a mile ever.
Yeah.
And
I could tell.
I hit it. I had a first round impact at 1950. Thank you.
First round, 1950.
Yeah.
Thank you very
So
I came in 10th.
I did not come in 10th.
much. You really did come in 10th. I will brag on him.
Yeah, no, I forgot my bolt. So my first 15 rounds were getting dope. But my friend Steve Cleverly from 5150 Rifles gave me a chip that says member of the 1 mile club. So I just wanted to bring that, rub that in Gary's face.
I appreciate that.
I knew he didn't get a chip.
You weren't there to shoot the 2,000 yards the next day.
I've got to work, actually.
Mm.
This doesn't just happen by the grace. I'm not like you where I've got a whole cadre of people back here
People.
running your
By
show.
cadre, he
for-
means
My-
summer.
My big producer back there. There's no one back there right there. By the way, folks, I had Jackson doing our intro and stuff this morning, just a few minutes ago. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And if you guys, it's a completely different ball of wax. The guns are different. That was another thing that was cool. One of the guys there, I need to have them on sometime, actually.
But there
And
was
just-
guys there shooting 6.5s.
There was.
You don't have to go out and buy a $10,000 gun
No.
to do this. There
Like,
was,
like with the light, like 300 PRC is going to be competitive.
yeah,
6.5 PRC, you could do it. I don't know that I would, but 300 PRC is going to be very competitive. 300 Norma, 338 Lapua is going to be competitive because I don't know what the distance limit is, but I know for that it was what, like 19? No, it was like
I think 1956 or something like that
was the longest one.
What was the distance for the light?
That
That's
was
what
our,
I'm saying.
for the
Oh,
light
okay.
class.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It went out a little further for the heavy class.
Yeah,
We
that's
actually
what I figured.
moved, anyways. So add a few hundred yards to the heavy class.
Yeah. The heavy gun class.
And then the heavy gun class, folks, those I posted some pictures. I know many of you guys saw those things. Those are just these Frankenstein guns.
Yeah, they
These
look
guys
crazy.
built. One of the guys there built a lot of the chassis, and it starts off. The chassis started off as like a 4 foot by 3 inch by 10-inch piece of aluminum, and he had 40 hours into each chassis, just milling out the chassis, and then got this like 2-inch piece of steel for a barrel that's 48 inches plus long. Pretty interesting stuff. It was really cool. It was cool
Yeah.
to
And
see.
he spins all those himself and
Yep.
builds those guns. He's the guy who, I think he's the guy that built the gun for the girl that won the 1 mile.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. He builds all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of rifle builders there.
I pulled up the target card.
The guy that won, he was, shooting a 50 that he built himself. Yeah, so we had
Does match. Would you look at that?
would you look at it? Yeah, so target card was 1041, 1288, 1589, 1897, 1906, 1948. So 1948 was the furthest. That was day one. I actually have, I don't know if I think I took that picture on my other camera. Yeah, I don't think it's on. This might have been day one.
That's heavy.
Yep. All right. So heavy target one was 1388. Target two was 1663. Target three was 1978. Target four was 1998. Target five was 2019. And target six was 2109. So
That's getting out there.
yeah.
So when you say you got 15 shots over 3 targets, that's this set and then
Yep.
this
So
set.
the target 1, 2, and 3, you get 5 shots at each. So 50, you shoot 15 rounds per, I don't know what they call it, heat or whatever, a set, whatever it is. So you get 5 shots, target 1, target 2, and target 3. And so 15 total. And then you're doing some downtime for usually probably an hour, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah. This was what they called a not hit to advance. In other words, you didn't have to hit the shorter target to advance to the next
Mm.
target. It was just 5 shots, hit it or not.
Yep.
You get
Move
5
on.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
Then you just go to the next one.
Are some
Yeah.
of the ELR matches you have to hit to advance, I'm assuming then, since
I
you
don't know.
clarified that?
I don't know. It seems like it might be a rule since they specifically stated it.
Right.
But in
Talking
this,
to the wrong guy.
yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. If nothing else, go jump in on one. And like I said, we'll definitely be there the next one during St. Patty's weekend. If nothing else, come out and hang out. If I got a gun and I got extra ammo, you guys can use mine. And I probably will have a gun, so don't worry about that little guy. Isn't that right, Summer?
They
More-
give the boys.
More movie quotes she doesn't get.
Yeah. So that was a blast. You guys got to come check that out. And we are definitely putting up some more XP Long Range Academy courses. I believe the ones we have up are pretty much filled, except for maybe the level
I think
3s.
the August one will be-
So go get on those. And then we're looking at posting some additional dates, but we are going to be doing some additional courses and some events out at, what is it called? Brown Bear?
Black Bear Shooting Complex.
Anyways, it's Spears Mountain. I know it is Spears
PBSC.
Mountain. So there you go. So
Jeff Johnson mentioned the King of 2 Mile are hit to advance there.
Yeah.
King of the 2, 3, and 4 mile are hit to advance. There you go.
Jeff would know.
Jeff knows everything except the right type of optic to use. MOA still sucks, Jeff. And by the way, I will say that most of the guys at the ELR, they do use MOA, but the guy who won The top two guys that won were using Mel. That's weird. Maybe Quink-a-dink. I don't know.
Just can't help it, can you?
No,
I can't.
you
It's too much, especially with Jeff. Jeff's my arch nemesis on the.
Oh, is he an MOA guy?
Oh, yes. He sent Gary a PowerPoint trying to explain MOA to Gary.
It was very uncompelling.
He's working on improving his PowerPoint right now.
Very unmeaningful.
So, Chuck, what we got going on at Zeiss, man?
Man, it was a good year for Zeiss. We did a lot of really cool things. We've got a couple of new things coming for next year that I can't talk about other than they're really cool.
I'll tell you guys next podcast. Stay tuned.
Sure. As soon as I'm gone, right? Yeah. So a lot of cool things coming out. We had a big meeting this year in Germany. We took the whole team over there, and to see what's in development and to see the shift in the attitude of the company in responding to the needs of North America versus the European concept, which is completely different thought process. And so I learned a lot about how Zeiss operates in other continents and other countries and why they do the things that they do. And North America is a pretty unique situation in how shooters think and what their demands are, what their preferred timelines are, and things like that. So we have some new leadership that has committed to expediting our timelines to really.
Now, when you say timelines, you're talking about like product development or?
Yeah. So like the LRP, that was a 3 or 4 year process to get that scope, develop, design, build, meet all the standards. Because
that was mainly marketed toward the North American market, right?
Yeah. That was our first foray into first focal plane scopes. The timeline of getting those things done, I jokingly say everything happens at the speed of Zeiss, but that's because there's very specific benchmarks that everything has to hit, right? It absolutely has to hit quality standards. There are expectations, and then everybody has to get their say and their point on whatever the component is, whether it be a turret or a focus knob or a windage knob or a tube design or an internal structure. There's a very long, in-depth process to that. And on the high side, that means it hits some really high standards.
Sure.
Right? Our company's been around for 180 years. It's not our first foray into developing any kind of an optic. But when you have a really high benchmark like that, it just takes a while to get stuff right.
Sure.
Because the last thing in the world you want to do is bring out a product and then go, whoops.
Yeah. And I'm making some assumptions here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine, obviously, the North American market probably has to be the largest market for optics, period. But I would imagine Zeiss probably dominates the European market
Absolutely.
in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they may not have that big of a market share, or as big as a market share in the North American market, but that makes sense that obviously that they're stuck in this, I won't even say stuck. They just tend to placate a European market a little bit more than the American market because of where they stand in that market, right?
Yeah, if you've had almost 2 centuries of success doing things a certain way, man, it's a hard pitch to make you change your mind, right?
Sure.
Like you look back and you go, hey, 150 years we've been doing it like this, and it's been just fine.
Yep.
Why different? So it took a while, and it's taken a while to get that to change, but it is changing, and we have some really cool stuff in the pipeline that I think is really going to be very successful in our marketplace here in North America in a few different categories, right? Not just like one little trinket that's new and different, right? Like actually expanding the line, trimming the line for stuff that doesn't sell, stuff that's unnecessary. We should just take that out of the program, and then we'll replace it with something that fits better. It's to the point where we're actually adding people to our sales team, right? Our sales team in the United States and this division is 6 people. There's 6 guys that run the whole country. So we've added a couple of new people to that. We're changing our marketing aspect. So I think you're going to see some changes in your perception of Zeiss and the appearance of Zeiss and the footprint of Zeiss, not at only the highest level, but at all levels through the sales spectrum, through that vertical.
And one thing I want to tell you folks that I probably don't give Zeiss nearly enough credit. Look, our XP Long Range Academy courses happen because of Zeiss. The amount of support that they have given us and the amount of support as a dealer really is almost unmatched compared to all the other brands that we carry. I talk to Chuck pretty regularly. They've just supported us throughout training. They've invested heavily in not just, again, making sure there's prize table stuff for professional shooters that are winning matches, but also making sure that new shooters have great equipment to train on. But on top of that, as you guys know, they have made it to where we can put a Zeiss LRP S3 on the prize table for our long range courses, every single one of them.
Mhm.
So it's been a huge thing. And that was important to us too. Same thing. Like, hey, look, we know our courses aren't cheap, but this is what they cost to run. It's just a fact. Like, we're still, look, I'll just tell you right now, we make 6% profit on our courses, and that's if they're all filled. So we're not making a ton of money. There's not money in training. We do training because we love it, but we wouldn't be able to do that without the help and support of Zeiss. And there's many others that assist us, including Masterpiece Arms and some of the other great companies that have
Accutag.
sponsored that, Accutag,
Yeah.
Fat Boys, all of them. They've been great. But the fact of the matter is we've gotten so much support from Zeiss that it's, again, make sure that I want you to know how much we appreciate it, Chuck, but make sure all the people back at the HQ back in Germany, they know too.
Yeah, they do.
Back
They're
in Warsaw, wherever they are.
Warsaw would be Poland.
I know.
Yeah.
I was about to say, wait, that's
Yeah.
Same
wrong.
thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Country
We have
there.
Berlin.
We'll get a map over here on the wall for you.
I'm not a geographer.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh my God.
So when I was talking about
I
product,
was thinking of where they invented. I'm sorry.
no, when I was talking about product development, like we have a new binocular. It's the HDX, and you were taking a look at this earlier.
They are.
The which camera? There
Right
you
there.
go. Yeah. So the HD really, so that replaced the HD. Now the HD binocular had been around for 10 years or so, an absolutely fabulous binocular. But there was some things about it that we wanted to change. So we changed the rubber armor.
Yep.
The rubber armor is a little grippier. And we did that so that when your hands get wet or get
Don't be
cold,
jealous of how I'm caressing the binoculars.
I don't think you should rub them like that. It's a little weird.
How you're supposed to hold them, summer.
It's a little weird. So we changed the rubber armor, which seems like a little thing, but it's a big thing, right?
These feel extremely premium. This is a nice set of binos.
We also went to a magnesium body instead of an aluminum body. So we shaved some weight there and added some durability. We also made it a locking diopter, which
This is actually really cool.
Yeah.
I wish I'd set up a second camera, but I don't have a producer back there to hit buttons. But basically, you lift up on this ring almost like you would a locking turret. And then you can adjust your diopter, and then you push it back down, it locks into place. So that is super cool. And I definitely, they need to put that on their optics as well. From Green Beret,
yeah, we're working on it.
on your rifle scopes.
We did something simple like the eye cups, right? So go ahead and unscrew one of those eye cups. We changed the eye cups so that they're completely removable by
crap,
the
I broke
user.
it.
Yeah, no, but get this. If you take that out in the field and you get that all dusty and dirty, you're out in the Midwest where they have that moon dust and it gets all over everything. You can run those underwater, rinse them off, get all the crap off them, and then screw your eye cup right back in. It makes
Stuff
it,
look all nice again.
yeah, it makes it easy to clean, but it also makes it replaceable if you somehow break one. And then a little thing in the front where you would mount that to a tripod. We've always had a tripod mount binocular, but the little button was really hard to get out. So we made that external so that it's really easy to get to. So it seems like little things. Oh, and then the fast focus knob, 1.3 turns from 0 to infinity. So it's a super fast focus knob so that you can get yourself on target and get it in focus really quick and clear and easy. And then it comes with a flip down eye cups like that as well. And comes with a top cover for the oculars or
That's
for
pretty
the
slick.
eyepieces as well. So that's the new HDX line. And we were able to make all those improvements, but not add a single penny to the retail price point.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the V8. Remember, we talked about the whole North American thing versus everywhere else in the world. So the V8, that's our premium hunting scope. It is MOA, so you're going to have to get over yourself.
It's all right. I forgive you.
All the V8s had an MOA reticle, but they were 1/3 click. They were centimeter clicks. And the turrets
that's
turned
weird.
in the opposite direction. The European turrets turn opposite direction to what we're used to here in the United States. So it took us about a year, but we redeveloped a brand new reticle for that. It's called the AHR. And then we redesigned the whole turret configuration so that it's true quarter MOA, very positive lock, ballistic stop on that. Turn that to 0 and you can hear it stop. Yeah, it's all metal in there. There's no plastic components in there at all. That's your parallax adjustment on the side over there. It does have a capped windage so that you don't bump that when you're out in the woods. Comes in a 30 or a 34 millimeter tube, instant on off for the reticle. Now the reticle is really cool. It looks like a duplex with some hashes in there, but the fire dot, the lighted part of the reticle that's in there in the center at 100 yards is smaller than a 22. So it doesn't take up any additional space in your reticle. It's very easy to see. Instant on, instant off. And if you lay the gun down, it automatically turns itself off. So you don't kill batteries and things like that when you're not paying attention.
What else is cool with this, folks, is this is basically like a dimming switch up here. This is adjust your illumination, but
It's like a rheostat.
on top of that, it is, I've made several turns now and it's still getting brighter and brighter. So you have a lot of control over exactly how bright or dim you want that illuminated.
And that's the best glass we offer. That's 92% light transmission through the entire tube. You're somewhere between 17 and 20 pieces of glass in that scope. And by the time the light gets from the front all the way to the back, you're still at 92% light transmission. It does have our Lodutech coating, which is water repellent and everything like that. So if you get out stuck in the rain,
Basically like a Rain-X, right?
Yep, it's our version.
I'm sure Zeiss wouldn't appreciate me calling it Rain-X.
Rain-X would appreciate it.
But it is a permanent coating that doesn't just, you don't have to reapply.
Yeah, you don't have to keep reapplying it. So those are
It's
two of
hydrophobic.
the new products for late 24 and coming into 25.
We are coming into 25 right now already.
Mhm.
which is
Tell you
crazy.
what, if you're looking for a top of the line hunting scope, actually you could probably use that for a bunch of different
I know you said
applications,
one is a 30 millimeter, one's a 34 millimeter.
34. Yeah.
Are both those 2.8? So it's 2.8 to 20 on this one, or do they have the same magnification range?
No, the other ones, man, I knew you were going to ask me, and here I am blanking out.
That's
It
okay.
is. I want to. Let me just look, just so I don't get it wrong.
Yep.
2.8 to 20 by 56, and a 4.8 to 35 by 60.
I'm assuming that's the
4.8.
34 tube. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
30, huh?
35
Yeah,
by 60.
by 60.
60 millimeter objective lens.
Yeah, you can see your future in that thing.
Wow.
I need that.
The LRP S3, I've said this before, and I've been meaning to do a video on it, and I need to, but this optic for the money, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, we've been
Hard
meaning
to
to
beat.
mention the fact that you haven't done a video on that.
I've done a couple videos.
Not on that.
Okay, I'll do a video on that. Don't you worry about that. And I'll tell you, this one right here is the 4 to 25 by 50. This right here is perfect optic for just about anything, but especially for a DMR rifle. Man, that is a great optic as well. But we do need to do a full video review on that. But they are.
What have you got on your guns for your school? The 6 to 36.
The
36,
LRP S3 6 to 36.
Yep.
6 to 36. And that is without naming names. I've named it on other ones. Look, there's other scopes out there that cost a lot more for, was it $2,600 right now? 25?
Yeah.
26. That optic, the glass quality, the durability,
$24.99.
$24.99.
Mhm.
That the glass
smaller
quality, the
ones.
durability, and Chuck, you've said it in the past. Tell everybody about the Zeiss warranty on that.
It is a 5-year limited lifetime transferable warranty. So for the first 5 years, essentially we cover pretty much everything, right? You drop it, you run it over with a truck, something stupid happens. We're going to cover that. We're either going to repair it or we're going to replace it. Either
What about
way.
like scratching the objective
Covered.
or ocular?
Covered?
Yeah.
First 5 years, we're eating that. After 5 years, if you scratch the lens, you're probably going to buy that. We don't cover wear and tear.
Yeah.
But it's a great program. And this is where I learned to hate the internet sometimes, because you'll have people who will have a negative experience because they've done something. They haven't admitted to doing something, but they want you to fix it anyway. And it turns into,
Yeah.
But I can tell you from my own personal experience and from the experience of my clients and my customers, that if something goes wrong, Zeiss is going to take care of it.
Yeah.
And it's very simple.
And it seemed from a couple of different companies we work with, and I'm going to assume maybe Zeiss might be this, but if you just admit, look, I did something really dumb
is this covered or is it not?
100%.
A lot of times the company's like, yeah, man, just send it in. We'll take care of you.
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I mean?
the ones that show up and they look like you drove a nail with it, and you're
Yeah.
like took it out of my gun case and it looked like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you didn't. Well,
What did you
well,
really do with that?
yeah. Okay,
I got it wet.
if you took it out of your gun case and looked like that, have you spoken to your children?
I was just thinking that.
Because I'm not saying you did it, but somebody did it.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, like our repair facility is in Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
You're not sending it to somebody.
your-
Back to Warsaw.
Yeah. You're not sending it to a third party that English might not be a primary language or customer service
Mhm.
might not be a key issue. The guys that you're going to talk to on the phone are quite literally the guys who are going to open the box and repair it.
Yeah.
So you break a scope, they talk to you, that guy has it on his bench and he's looking at it. He's like, Gary, what the hell did you do? It fell out of a raft and it sat in the bottom of a river for a week before we found it. Oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Can you do anything about my scope? Yeah, we can figure something out. So it's a very tight unit. It's a very small group. The guys that are fixing our scopes or repairing our scopes, they've all gone to Germany. They've gone through our school over there. They're employees of the company. It's not some secondary source. It's a very good group of guys that really know what they're doing.
And just going back to the warranty for clarification, for that first 5 years, pretty much anything's covered. After that, what I guess by the letter of the law, essentially those like materials and craftsmanship, workmanship. So if suddenly it's not
Sure.
tracking,
Yeah.
like it's going to fix it. They're going to
Yeah.
fix
Something that doesn't track. Absolutely.
So
Send it back.
if-
Yeah, we're going to fix it.
You know, the letter of the law, whatever they decide to do, depending on how you are, I don't know, just being a good human being, that's up to them, up to their discretion. But I mean, the fact of the matter is you basically have a lifetime warranty. If that thing isn't working, they're going to fix it. For the first 5 years, you do something stupid, they're going to fix it and replace it. Pretty much no questions asked.
Yeah. After 5 years, it's manufacturer's defect, right? If it busts a seal and it fogs or something like that, yeah, we're going to find a way to get that fixed.
Yeah.
So every case is a little bit different, but also every case is treated with a lot of respect and a lot of care. We know our customers are spending a lot of money on this product, right? They didn't just run down to Kmart and pick up a scope for $99
But you can't
and
anymore,
expect
Chuck.
the world,
Yeah.
right? These are high-end clientele that generally are treating their stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they have high expectations, and so do we.
Sure. Yeah. And look, there's some companies out there, and I've mentioned them before on the podcast too. Look, there's some companies out there that live and die by the warranty, and that's because you have to use the warranty a lot. One
There was
brand
a guy, we met a guy at the range
we did.
whose scope went down and he had to JB weld it and tape it
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
to make it work.
One of his scopes wasn't working, and then that
His
was the same
backup.
brand. I'll just say it was Vortex. All right. So Vortex makes some really good scopes. They do live and die. You hear them talking about their warranty all the freaking time. And that's because I'll tell you, the only scopes I've ever had break that wouldn't work again was a Vortex. And I had to send that in. You know, almost everybody has that same warranty. The companies that we have, they just don't spend a lot of time advertising that warranty. We sell Zeiss, we sell Zero Compromise, we sell Night Force. They pretty much, the point is you don't have to use their warranty as much. If something goes wrong with the optic, they're
That's
going
why
to
they don't
fix
need to
it.
spend as much time.
Yeah,
focusing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tyler made a good comment there. The S3 punches way above its price point. And
Yeah.
I think he's right.
Yes.
That
I 100% agree.
I think you're hard pressed to find a scope that has that kind of performance, 90% light transmission going through it with all those features. Easily, whether you go with Miller or MO, the turrets are super easy to adjust and get all set up, and you're dialed in super quick and easy, and that thing's bulletproof. Do you know how we impact test these?
It's 1,500 Gs.
Well, you broke our table last time demoing that.
Yeah,
You still owe us a table, by the way.
1,500 Gs 1,000 times.
There you go.
So when they're like, is this going to stay together? Yeah. Yeah,
It should.
it's going to stay together. I'm not going to pound this V8 on the table because
You want to break my table?
I can't bring myself to do it.
You know, Jeff made a good comment. Yes, I'm giving you credit, Jeff. He said, I'm so happy Zeiss decided to come out with these. I've always loved the glass, but had a hard time finding the features I wanted, and these models solve that.
Yeah, they do.
Which kind of points back to these were geared more toward the North American market and not just the European models being sold in North America.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The
First focal plane is big in the U.S., whereas no.
Right.
I'm getting distracted by the T-shirt
laundry.
comments over here. Look, this is extra medium. So
Medium.
extra medium. What we're talking about.
Well, you
First focal plane is a big thing in the U.S., not such a big thing in Europe because they don't shoot that far. That's
Right.
why.
We also decided that, admittedly, we got into the PRS game late, right? We've really only been here 3 years. So when you look at what all of these other companies, they've had a decade on us easily, right? Probably more. So when you decide that you're going to put your toe in that water, you better have your poop in a group, right?
Yep.
So
I don't know what that means, for sure.
So
you don't want
Why-
to spread out.
Why do you
everywhere.
need the poop in the group?
it's tidier.
I'm gonna be. This is a.
She just lost it because I said
quandary.
poop.
She did. I told you.
You
This
told
is-
me at
I
dinner. You
told
said
you.
if you say,
say
poops,
poop.
that's it.
She's not gonna laugh at Tropic Thunder, but my God, you say poop, suddenly veins are coming out of her forehead. It's hilarious stuff over here.
But
Making everyone else laugh too.
Different.
Cat Dad thinks it's funny.
yeah, but if you're going to step into that game, then you better come to the table with a couple of products that are viable.
Yeah.
They have to be durable, repeatable, reliable. We talked to several people this weekend that had horror stories of having to carry. Can you imagine having to go to a tournament or a shoot and you have to have a spare scope in your box?
Yeah.
That's somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 that you don't know what to do with. That's just sitting in a box because you're probably going to need it. You just drove halfway across the country. You just flew halfway across the country, and you better have a spare. And we didn't want to have that. We wanted it to be that whatever you pull out of that box is reliable and repeatable and ready to go when you need it to go. So
Jeff said shooters are ruthless. Also, if you have a bad product, everyone will know it's effed by day 2.
Yeah.
or the end of day 1.
Yeah.
And on top of that, and this goes with, I think, everything in the shooting industry too, is if you have 1 out of 500 or 1,000 that go down, you're always going to hear that squeaky wheel is what's going to be heard.
Absolutely.
And the bad experience is what's going to be heard. And thousands of people that have the good experiences aren't. That's just the way that it works. And it's probably a good thing. It keeps companies on their toes. I don't know why I keep playing with your phone.
I know.
But-
I kept
Me
touching
too.
that.
It's just rubbing on your phone, hoping the genie's going to come out. But yeah, that's the way it works. And it's probably a good thing. It holds manufacturers as well as retailers and everybody else accountable as they should. I think, that, again, the S3, I can't say enough positive things about it. I think for the money, and especially if you're looking at if you don't need the 6-36, the 4-25, what's the retail on that?
Right at 22.
22, yeah.
$2,200.
And it's a much smaller, much more compact package. The 4-25 is for most people, the 4-25 is plenty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think even Kurt Colson, who Gary ended up selling an S3 to
He does,
in the shop
Jason.
one
He
day.
does.
I think he put it on one of his 7 PRC hunting rifles, and he goes out hunting quite a bit and seems to like it a lot.
Yeah, and I also want to show you guys the other thing too is I will say Zeiss, they only offer one reticle, both MOA and MIL in the S3, but they did it right. So I just want to show you that real quick. I got that right here somewhere, right here. So this is the MRI MIL, and again, this is just a great, easy, simple, intuitive reticle that's easy to see, easy to understand what we got going on with this. Just a great reticle.
One of the key things to pay attention to on that reticle is you see the illumination.
Yes.
The illumination stops at a mil in all 4 directions. So it's a very quick, intuitive, like you say, reference point to where it's not blowing out the whole reticle. And that's a true daylight visible reticle. You can see that thing everywhere you go.
Yep. Yeah, definitely nice lower numbers, less information. It's all the information you need. But for you guys that do want an MOA, Jeff, the MOA is right here.
Oh, so many numbers.
Look at that.
So many numbers.
There you go. Got the MOA. Let's go again. Simple, easy to use.
And only the middle is lit up.
I was about to say that's a very small illumination there.
Yep. It's just enough to keep you where you want to be.
Yep.
And it's so difficult to actually do holdovers with MOA anyhow that most people are just going to be dialing with MOA to begin with. So that just works out like that. I will tell you, just going
Thank
back,
you, Mark.
touching on that just a little bit. I was using the guy's rifle that I was shooting. I was using an MOA optic. And let me tell you something, at 25 MOA, we were into 2 and 3. We actually got up to 72 MOA, which would have been less than 20 mils, less than 20 mils. And it would have been a lot Just going to throw that out there. But anyways, again, whether you want MOA or mill, they offer both of those, and you're welcome to come to our courses either way. I'm going to make fun of you, but that's okay. I only make fun of people I love.
So we were talking, I'm just going to change focus away from your mill versus MOA rant. But
Okay.
we were talking in the shop, and I know one of the important things that I get asked quite frequently is what are the key differences between the S5 and the S3, Chuck?
Chuck, take it away.
First and foremost, the glass. So the S3 is obviously all of our engineering and all of our design front to back. The S3, we use Japanese glass in that one. In our defense, I don't think you see any downside there.
If you'd have told me that, number one, it's ED, it's extra low dispersion glass.
Yeah.
It is the best Japanese glass that I've ever seen. And I'll tell you, there's, again, scopes that cost $1,000 more than them. You put that next to it, it's really hard to tell the difference between some of the higher end, even Night Force Attacker. I would say that the LRPS 3 6-36 is right up there with the Night Force Attacker 7-35. There's some cosmetic differences there, but as far as overall build quality, durability, the glass quality, man, it is, if there is a difference, it's indistinguishable to me. So what you're getting for this, it's pretty hard to beat.
We spent a lot of time on making sure it had really crisp edge to edge clarity.
Yep.
That's a big thing, especially when you start getting into holdovers or wind holds and things like this. When you get off center holds and you're not dialing,
You're getting toward the edge of that glass.
yeah, you have to have a crisp image.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when I'm out at matches, I will purposely look through other people's glass. And then I will tell people hey, when you're looking at this, do me a favor. Obviously, we're in bright sunlight, and a lot of scopes look really good
In perfect conditions.
12 o'clock in the afternoon with not a cloud in the sky, man, even a $700 scope looks pretty decent. And then I tell them, look at the edge. And you can see it in their face. They're like, oh, now they see the difference. So that's one of the key things that we really focused on there, is to try to make sure that we have a really pristine image all the way out to the edge, which is hard to do when you get into higher magnifications.
Sure.
And especially when you get into bigger bells, that a piece of glass that big, and especially when you have multiple pieces of glass that are stacked together, it's a real challenge. The S5 is 100% made in Germany in our own factory with our own people. Now the S3, those people have been trained by us to build and assemble that scope to our standards, not their standards. So this is the minimum acceptance, and you have to meet that or don't ship it. So it's not that it's coming out of Japan and we're just picking off.
You're not just throwing your label on it.
Yeah, this option from column A, this option from column B, this option from column C.
Which a lot of, if you don't know, folks, a lot of the scopes out there.
You actually can do that.
A lot of the scopes out there are made at the exact same plants, and it literally, it's scope
little
company
menu.
A, hey, I want this and this. They paint it the color they want. They put the options they want, and then they come out with a price. And it's not made by them, not even engineered by them. It's just they have the options on that optic that they want. And a lot of companies do it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying you just need to know that fact.
Yeah, the glass package is probably the most important aspect. So when you get into the S5, now you're getting into all of our high-end shot glass, all of our German engineers and assembly people putting that together. And when we were there in Germany, seeing how that whole process is done, it would blow your mind. It's a factory the size of a city block. And then when you go to our second factory, it's a city. It actually has its own train depot. It's huge. Multiple buildings that do everything from semiconductors to lasers to manufacturing equipment and our rifle scopes as well. But a very high-end product, very Zeiss, very German. Different turret system, like with the S3. When you zero that, you know how you take the cap off and you adjust your bucket.
Mm-hmm.
With the S5, you don't take the cap off. It's a different system. You loosen it, you press on it, you readjust it, you zero it that way. So it's a different mechanism, a little finer mechanism, a little more advanced, I guess I would say. But 92% light transmission, 90% light transmission, still the field flattener technology, so your target doesn't look bubbled or distorted. A lot of attention paid to making sure that colors look a specific way. things like that.
Yeah, and that's where you really got to test optics, and that's where you're going to see the difference, especially when you get out into those high mirage areas or high mirage conditions. Folks, that's when those cheaper optics that look great in perfect conditions just fall apart. Suddenly, that object is waving around out there. You can't see through the mirage. That's when it makes a huge difference. And that's where you got to test that stuff. And that's something that I've just learned over time as well. Is, hey, there's certain companies or optics I've done reviews on that I need to do some updates on there because I had some bad experiences with those overall. And again, we've spent a lot of time on these optics and they've been great. And the students that have used these love them. We love them.
We've had several
I would
students that have used them
wager-
when Top Gun
Yeah.
at courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would wager in a strong argument that you probably collectively have shot more rounds between you and your students in the course of a year
Mhm.
through those scopes
Yeah.
with no issues.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to you have multiple, it's not just one scope, you have a multitude of scopes that are
Mhm.
all performing at an exceptionally high level that are repeatable from week to week and from class to class and student to student.
You're talking about multiple days, back-to-back shooting,
Yeah.
running all day.
Tens of thousands of rounds.
And to be fair and to be completely candid, we did have one that had an issue with the windage turret, but again, we got that fixed and replaced almost immediately. And I don't think you guys really pulled any extra strings for us, but the fact is that we did have one go down, but things happened, but
No,
it got
and
fixed.
I did not pull any strings. I
Yeah.
just used a standard warranty replacement. You called me and said, hey, I had a scope go down. Bang. Give me the serial number, sent you a brand new one, sent you a call tag, and you sent that back in.
Yep.
There was nothing special. It was just a warranty replacement.
Yeah, and we're not easy on this gear either, folks. Again, a lot of these are rental guns, so they're
Point, like,
treated as such. as
yeah,
well.
they're a rental gun. They're being used by new shooters that may not treat the equipment the same as
They don't
if-
even honestly trust me. Just watch. They don't know how to treat
exactly.
a gun.
That's my
you know,
point. They
you
don't
know.
know how to treat the equipment in a certain
Yeah, it's not
way.
that they're being purposely bad.
No,
don't
not
know,
by
you
no
know.
Or
means.
you know how it is. Like when you're first shooting, you're learning. You got so much going on in your head, moving stuff around. You're banging against stuff. It's just part of the learning
Yeah.
process. It's part of that clumsy beginner.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Tyler made a good comment there on the most companies thing. They're interestingly enough, in our scope industry, there is no standard as to what you can say there is for light transmission. You can actually say my scope has 95% light transmission. And then in the fine print, it's through one piece of glass.
Yeah.
So when we say we have 90% light transmission,
That's end to end.
that's through the entire tube, the whole system. And again, on some scopes, you might have 10 or 12 pieces of glass. Some scopes, you might have 15 or 20 pieces of
Wow.
glass. And every single time light goes through a piece of glass, you lose a little bit, no matter what. So when we say 90%, we've measured it. It's 90%. Yeah, there's a great image right there. Yeah.
you guys see right here all these different pieces of glass. This shows all of them. But again, you have your objective lens, your ocular lens, and then
Those are
everything in between
several
there.
sets of stacked glass, right?
Yep.
Yeah. If you look way up in the front there, you have that one piece. So that's more or less a protective piece. It also does some optical work for us. And then right behind, that's a doublet. That's two pieces of glass that are bonded together. And the reason you do that is as light passes through a medium, whether it be glass or air or water, when light passes through that first piece of glass, different wavelengths of light will slow down. So if it's not all glass is the same, you're going to have ED glass, you're going to have HD glass, you're going to have fluoride glass, crown glass, BK7. Those are all different recipes for glass. And each one transmits a certain wavelength of light at a certain speed. So you stack pieces of glass together so that you can slow down certain colors to allow the other colors to catch up, so that you don't have that chromatic aberration, that fuzz, that rainbow of color around your target. So we do that through that entire scope, through that entire unit. There's different types of glass bonded together and stacked together so that we get the truest image we can get. And you'll notice no plastic parts in there. That's all metal.
Yeah, a lot goes into that without a doubt. And one of the things, conversation we were having before this, Chuck, that I don't think a lot of people understand is the term shot glass. Tell me a little bit about what shot glass is, what it means. Even within shot glass, there's different categories of shot glass. So, yeah.
So Carl Zeiss and Otto Schott, that's his name, Otto, and his last name Schott, S-C-H-O-T, were business partners. They were basically the foundation of Zeiss. So Otto was the recipe guy. He was the guy that figured out how to make light do certain things through certain types of glass, right? It's not just heat and sand and silica. You may have other components that you drop in there to get glass to do a certain thing.
Almost like a steel polymer that you're trying to get
you have different grades of aluminum.
Yep.
You have different grades of steel. You have different grades of glass. It's a very similar analogy. And so Schott is an arm of Zeiss. So when other companies are buying Schott glass, they're essentially buying our technology and our patents, in a loose term, buying our glass. They buy that glass in a semi-finished type form. Then they polish it. They put the curves on it that they want. And then they put the anti-reflective coatings on there that they want to get the performance that they're looking for. And anti-reflective coatings, we invented those too, right? We invented all the prisms that are used in binoculars today. They're all of our patents.
Oh, okay. And to be clear, Zeiss owns shot glass.
Yeah, more or less.
So,
Zeiss isn't a corporation, it's a foundation. So we have umbrellas of companies underneath us, and Schott's one of them.
I didn't know that.
Yep. That's cool. Even the companies that are using shot glass, they're basically buying their glass from
Well, I know.
Zeiss or
Yeah.
its parent
I didn't know
company,
they were.
I guess.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're a foundation.
Nonprofit
which
foundation.
means
They're
we
not.
have to donate a certain amount of money to research, and we have to donate a certain amount of money to business expansion and things like that. Zeiss is a very unique company. We're a $10 billion organization globally. We probably 80 to 90% of all the movies that are produced are shot through Zeiss lenses.
They make some nice Sony lenses.
Yes, we dominate
Those
the
G-Masters?
semiconductor
No, they don't make. They may make their glass. I don't know.
business. So all the chips in your cell phone and things like that, semiconductors, that's probably 80 to 90% of the semiconductors in the world are using our technology.
Well,
We did the very first microscope, telescopes. We make planetariums, all sorts of research equipment, diagnostic equipment, imaging equipment. It is a insanely huge company. We do a lot with vision, right? So Zeiss lenses for your eyeglasses. We own a company that makes the implants that go in your eye for cataract surgery. There's a ton of things that we do when it comes down to vision and imaging, but we're pretty much.
that's pretty cool. I'll just, and I could be completely wrong, but just give you my experience on this. The S3 is so affordable. I think that's why they are so much more popular, man.
100%.
They're so affordable and they're so good.
It's just it's a completely different market segment.
The EOR guys, a lot of those guys were rocking the S5s
because they're shooting 2000 plus.
Yeah. And because one thing we haven't talked about that is important is the amount of elevation travel in your optics compared to a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, 140, 160 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. 47 mils. You can almost shoot anything you want to shoot without an added base.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys are putting a 20-minute or a 50-minute base on there for the super long range stuff.
Or for rimfire.
Or for rimfire. Yeah, like the S3 in rimfire, we do an ELR competition back home. I can direct dial to 450 yards with a flat base. 450 yards.
And that's the 4 to 25, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the 4 to 25 has 120, 140, and then the 6 to 36.
No, 160 and 140.
I thought the 6 to 36 had 110, but I could be wrong. And I probably am. But either way, a lot more than a lot of optics out there. And obviously, you're not going to be able to use all that. Some of that is ate up through zeroing. But again, it's a lot of elevation compared to most.
Oh, that's S5. You were asking about S3, weren't you?
Either one. What was the S5?
Oh, so the S5.
Because there's two models of the S5 as well. And I don't think a lot of people understand it. So there's the
3
to 18 by 50 and then the 25.
and the 5 to 25 by 56. The elevation is the same in both of those in the S5.
Okay.
You're at 40 mils or 140 minutes.
Okay.
And then in the S3, And I should know this stuff off the top of my head, but because I'm on the spot, I'm
Well,
not sure I
there's
get it right.
There's a lot of different models with a lot of different.
Yeah, and when you get into the S3, the 4 to 25 is 160 or 46.5 mils,
Okay.
and the 6 to 36 is 110 and 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Either way, a ton of elevation that isn't offered by a lot of other optics out there. And again, one of the things I'll say, folks, at all of our long range courses, Top Gun, you get a 6 to 36 S3. A lot of the guys that are coming to that course, they're going home with more than they put into the course. So I was telling Chuck before, we were talking about how many of the wipes we sell, the wipes and the lens kits that we sell, which we're happening to be out of stock of right now, and we're waiting on another shipment. I keep those Zeiss wipes in my truck, in my camera bag, and all my long range optic cleaning kits, and my other bags just for when I need it, whether it's the camera, whether it's binos or a laser rangefinder I need to clean. I use those all the time. They're super, super handy. This is a good question. What are the challenges to make a very short range parallax work with higher zoom scope? Again, most of the optics out there, the parallax is going to start at 75. And they're like, Zico does like 25 meters. But a lot of the optics out there, and I know that is, I don't know the science behind it, but I know that it is an optical challenge getting parallax to work at shorter ranges.
It is when you start getting really ultra short parallax and trying to combine it with ultra high magnification. Mechanically, it's very difficult to make it work.
Is that just because the parallax, the lens that covers parallax, or the set of lenses that adjust parallax have to move so much?
They have to move so far that unless you have a very long tube, you just can't slide it that far.
Gotcha.
And if you do slide it that far, what do you give up? Because there's going to be a sweet spot in the middle where it's awesome, but then on this side it's going to be a little sketchy, and on that side it's going to be a little sketchy. So a lot of companies will do it with the expectation that, okay, we're willing to give that up if we can get this. And the consumer is okay with that. They're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to give that up out there, but I'm going to get this back here, or vice versa. Zeiss is very intolerant to giving up anything. Yeah. Look, we have a level of expectation, and if you're not there, keep working.
Do you know what the minimum focus is for the LRP S3?
Parallax setting 15 meters is the tightest on the 4 to 25, and 10 meters with the 6 to 36.
There you go. 10
meters, 16 yards and 10.9 yards.
Nice.
So if you were an air gun shooter, which I started to play in that air gun world a little bit this summer, those guys need ultra tight, ultra close parallax, because they judge target distance with it. They'll use their parallax to focus.
So if it's focusing at that distance
and they have a mark on their parallax, then they go, okay, that's 27 yards. And then they know how to shoot that target.
My question with parallax has always been, so you have usually out to 1,000 yards, and anything beyond that is considered infinity. We know it doesn't actually focus to infinity. So there has to be some number on there that it actually focuses out to. And I'm sure you don't have that answer, but
yeah, it says right here, infinity.
Thanks, Chuck. Cleared that up.
It's right here.
Yeah. See that?
Right here in the Zeiss book.
See
That's infinity.
See that little sideways? Looks like an 8
All
laying on its side.
all the other marks are to specific ranges, but once you get infinity, everything after that is in perfect focus.
It comes with a ring, infinity ring.
Oh,
yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, I know we've talked about it in a couple of different meetings that we would like to have a one-piece, for lack of a better term, a one-piece tactical mount, something that's extra heavy duty and rugged and all that other kind of stuff. But again, it's got to meet a really high standard. The question becomes, do you OEM it out to somebody else, or do you develop it yourself? And that's always a battle, right? That's always a struggle.
Because again, I'm sure I know this single piece rings or mounts are just not very popular in Europe.
And no, not at all. In fact, they use rail mounts over there. Have you seen those?
No.
It's in the bottom of the scope. This whole bottom of the body is actually flattened, and there's for lack of a better term, it looks like an ARCA rail that goes all
integrated into the optic.
It's actually machined right into the tube. It's all one piece. That's the most popular way to mount them over there. 2-piece rings or 1-piece ring mounts are not a thing.
We're streaming live on X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Yeah, folks, we got a lot of new products coming in too, and we're looking forward to restocking for definitely going
What
into
were those
Christmas.
lights you got in today?
Oh.
Pro 2s.
Folks, we got the Stiletto Pro 2s in.
Put one in
Of
your
course,
pocket.
of course,
you
Gary
put-
got high on his supply.
Oh, look at this. Daddy's been waiting on this. We also have the Luminary kits, but we do have a very limited amount of the Stiletto Pro 2s. These have been in high
I've been
demand,
waiting
been
months to
hard
get those
to
in.
get.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got 5 of them left. This thing throws some light. It's really nice to carry in the pocket. Yeah, I love this thing. I love this thing a lot. It throws light really well. It's high candela as well as high lume. Yeah, that's why it works so well. Rechargeable. Just like anything good, they're not cheap. They're nice to have. And a light should be part of your EDC, and this makes it carrying them in your pocket so much easier than the big bulky round ones, without a
Probably
doubt.
should have picked one of those up.
You should have picked one of those up.
Christmas is coming.
Christmas.
Christmas.
So anyways, we got 5 of them on the website. Go get yours today. What else did we get in new?
Got in some more Zico stuff. I will say this, be patient with us, guys. Gary's video that you put out on all the Shooters Global product was uber popular. We have completely been wiped out of everything. Already have more product on the way, so just be a little patient on that, but pay attention to the back in stock notifications, but we'll have more of those soon. What else came in?
And one of the things, folks, I will say, look, I'm excited about the upcoming new year. And one of the reasons, without a doubt, is, look, I think we're going to see a boom in the economy with what we got going on in the White House and that Trump is putting in place. I am very optimistic that we're going to see some big changes.
A couple of really good announcements today.
Yeah, I'm curious what everybody thinks about Pete Hegseth
Like I
as
said,
Secretary of Defense. I was a little shocked if you haven't heard him talk about. He just
He's
recently.
young. How old is he?
He is. He's probably in his mid 40s. He was just recently on Sean Ryan's show. If you haven't seen that interview, it's a good one. And I think if you follow Pete Hegseth, he's written some really good books. So I don't see anything wrong with going somebody that has a good head on their shoulders, that knows the military, that has been in the military, and is a unconventional pick. We have this idea that all these people with so-called qualifications, I think is just asinine. We've had a lot of quote unquote qualified secretaries of defense that have done nothing but destroy our military. So I'm all about an unconventional pick, and hopefully he will get confirmed easily. And I'm curious to see what he does. That's for sure.
Oh, best beginners Zeiss for hunting 7mm PRC.
Where was that at? Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
All right.
The next one down. Yep, that one right there. Yep. I would be torn between a V4 and a V6, but I'd probably go V4 because the key word there is beginner. Probably a 4-16 because you're probably not going to be shooting beyond 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And we have a multitude of reticles for that particular unit, and you can get it illuminated. So if you want a little bit of light in there, you can do that. So
What's that V4 run price wise?
you're going to be right around $1,000. V4, 4-16, 44. You're anywhere between $10.99 and $12.99.
That's a Conquest V4.
Yeah, Conquest V4, 4-16, 44. That would probably be where I would go. And you can get that with turrets. You can get it with caps. You can get it illuminated. I would probably put the ZMOAI reticle in there, which is, it's got holdover marks in there.
Mhm.
It's very easy. It is MOA. So I know you're not a fan, but for the hunter, it's going to be,
Most hunters are going to use MOA. I get it.
yeah, it's going to be really great. And unless you're shooting over 1,000 yards, it's going to be a fantastic scope.
Shoot us an email, services@ParamountTactical.com. We'll give you a direct quote, look at the different models, and we'll take care of everybody.
Couple of things I'll add on to the V4s. Right now through the end of the year, all V4s, actually, no, starting on the 24th, all V4s are going to be $150 off
There you go.
to the consumer.
Boom.
And if you order it from Paramount Tactical, you can get a free custom turret made from Kenton Turrets. I'll give you the code. You give the code to the consumer. Those turrets are $135 a piece. And they need very simple, basic information. So you need your sight over bore, you need your speed, your bullet, your caliber, your weight, your average elevation, depending on where you're going to be hunting. And you can have multiple caps for, I hunt in the East, but I also go to Colorado.
So this is like a BDC turret.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you're going to plug in this basic data. They're going to custom cut you a cap with numbers on it. So it's not just MOA marks on here. It's actual like 100, 200,
Windage,
300.
yardage. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you order your scope from Gary and Summer, you'll get a free Kenton turret, and the scopes are going to be $150 off. So that's like a $280 savings through the end of the year, starting on the 24th.
24th.
Yeah, and one of the things I've said a bunch before, and it's worth repeating, and that is like the more you spend on your optic, the less you actually spend. And I mean that. Optics one of those things where if you buy a quality optic, you're going to get your money back out of that if you decide to sell it or whatever else. If you're just using it, if you're just going to use it and use it, you're always going to have that quality optic, and you won't necessarily feel the need to upgrade because there's no real reason to. There again, a lot of times these higher end optics are going for somebody will use them for 2 or 3 years, and then they're going to sell them for a couple $100 cheaper than what they paid for it. And by the time you look at inflation and everything else, a couple years down the road, you spent a couple $100 to use it for 3 or 4 years at most. Optics are one of those things where it makes sense not only from a performance standpoint, but also just as an investment. It's one of those things where I'm too poor to buy cheap, and I think that really does. It's just not just a sales platitude, right? It's something that is absolutely a fact when it comes to buying good gear and good quality optics. Peanut, say his name. Peanut.
Do you know about the squirrel from New York?
I do. That guy lives about 15, 20 miles from me.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a really sad thing.
It was the fact that there wasn't riots over that is really a shame. Somebody needs to be held to task on that.
That guy actually he founded an animal sanctuary.
Yeah.
Right. And like I say, he was 20 minutes from my house. He was doing a lot of really good things. And for somebody to just be a Karen like that was.
Forget about the person that reported him, whatever. The problem is the multiple
witness.
Judges, whoever else signed off on that warrant. Honestly,
like 20 guys to his house.
Honestly, if I was a law enforcement officer, I'm like, wait a second, we're going to break this guy's door down and potentially use deadly force so that we can take his squirrel and kill it. The squirrel that's not hurting anybody or doing anything.
Yep.
I'm just not participating in this. You guys can just forget it.
I'm sick that day.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I would have to dissent on that a little bit. Folks, listen, we always appreciate you tuning in. And look, I want you to remember us when you're doing some Christmas shopping. Go to ParamountTactical.com. We can't do this without your support, and we really do appreciate all the love and support. Whether it's you're watching our stuff, supporting us on the channel through views, make sure you share. Anytime that we have a live stream, we want to continue to grow this audience. And on top of that, go shop with us. That's how we pay the bills, and that's what makes this possible. This stuff isn't free. And I had to pay a huge amount of money just to get Chuck on here, talking to his.
I'm going to be honest with
manager.
You. I was told there was a studio.
I told him he was going to get his hair and makeup did.
It's a basement. And
there's people over there in chains.
I'm pretty
they threw
sure.
Some pizza at me, and that's it.
Yeah, there might be bodies outside. I don't even know.
It's going to be another one.
It's a dark, scary road to drive down here.
Yeah.
None of those are lies.
None
of those are
on
lies.
Purpose.
Yeah.
We want it to be dark and scary, so you don't come down there.
Yeah, you could put a light outside.
Yeah, and we definitely want to thank Chuck for coming out. Look, it's hard a lot of times for these companies to get representatives for these companies to come on. We've built some good relationships. We had Nick on from Zico. We've had Chuck on multiple times. But like I said, the level of support that we've gotten from Zeiss, me knowing what Chuck does to support shooting sports and everything that they do, they're a company that we're very happy to get behind and to represent, and it fits right in with what we believe as far as the level of quality of gear that we want to sell, and then really the people behind it too.
And all the guys on my team, the guys that I work with, I said we're a very small team. I wasn't a shooter coming into this. I come from a competitive archery background, but not a rifle background. But all of the guys on our team two of them are ELR and PRS guys. One of them is a straight up PRS guy, long range. One of them does a lot of competitions and a lot of shooter schools, lives in the Northwest, very experienced in the hunting world. We're not salesmen. We work in the industry. We live in the industry. We participate in the industry. We go to competitions, and I came down to shoot this weekend. I didn't set up a tent. I didn't set up a banner.
Nope.
I didn't do any of that. I was just there to shoot. And that's a big part of how we operate our business. We are part of the community. And none of us are commissioned sales guys. We just do a job. And it really pays off with working with partners like yourselves. When you have a need and we can come together and put a package together so that you can take care of your clients, it does really facilitate that true partnership so that you're able to take care of all of these people that tune in every single week and all the people that come to your classes. It's a critically important aspect of what we do.
No, it's really critical that you're willing to, and again, folks, this is really rare. We deal with a lot of different brands and a lot of them are awesome brands, but it's very rare that a rep will get on here and get on there and do something live like this where they have to answer questions. Every now and then you get somebody on there that had a bad experience, but again, he's here. He's been here multiple times now, answering questions, making sure that you know who he is and has a face behind a brand. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And this is something that hopefully I'm speaking to a lot of folks out there and a lot of different companies out there in the shooting community. You need to get more people out there and get faces behind the brands. And I think it'll do a lot of good, both just building, making everybody feel like they're part of the community, both you, the brand, as well as the shooters, the consumers out there as well.
Well, and even me from a customer service standpoint and ordering standpoint and those kinds of things, it's those brands like you guys at Zeiss where I can have a personal relationship, a face-to-face relationship.
Your ordering system is so complex.
Maybe I just want to order with you instead of dealing with somebody that I don't have to put in a crazy PO and I never have met them. And maybe it shows favoritism, but
go through a crazy spreadsheet that is impossible to understand.
It just it's so
It's
easy.
no joke. She will send me a text and
Chuck's
say,
probably like,
hey, I need this. 2 weeks ago, you texted me and I took a selfie from a tree stand
Yeah,
and said,
he's
yep,
like,
I got you covered.
I'll get you in a little bit.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's having that relationship where she can just shoot me a
Absolutely.
text and say, hey, I need this. Okay, gotcha.
What I was trying to say is it makes me want to work with you more. It makes me want to work with Zeiss more. Those personal relationships really mean a lot, not only to what I can bring to the customer, but just to my ease of life. You
Yeah,
know?
and I'm about making your life easy
Yeah.
because
Probably to
Gary's-
your detriment, but
he's so easy to work with. Gary is.
yeah.
So and again, that's also what we do here too, is making sure that you guys have someone that we try to have a personal relationship with our viewers, our clients, and all of that's important. And we want to have brands that are of the same mindset. That's
Yep.
what it comes down to. Listen, folks, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you turn in next Wednesday. We are going to have another special guest tentatively. I don't want to announce it until it's confirmed, but it's going to be a good one. But anyways, we will talk to you guys soon. Until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll see you later.